last appeals to various quarters to be able to secure the needed 33 votes to seal the deal. Raila Odinga met a Kenyan delegation of governors, members of parliament, senators, and even members of the county assemblies as the team is confident of clinching this seat. President William Ruto and Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi are also in Ethiopia, having separately met different leaders on Friday. The contest is close amongst the three candidates, Raila Odinga of Kenya, Mahamud Yusuf of Djibouti, and Richard Randriamandrato of Madagascar. The Southern African Development Community, comprising 16 member states, has officially urged its members to back Madagascar's candidate in the African Union Commission chairmanship elections set for Saturday, February 15th.
How is it? The proceedings. So today or tomorrow. So there is a room there. Anybody who's available, we can sit there together. We cheer together. Radisson Blue Hotel. So tupatane hapo, so that anybody who has time hapo. Kesho pia hapo. Those who are not going to the AUC.
It's truly a flurry of activities in Ethiopia. Now, as the African Union Commission elections draw closer, Kenya has reaffirmed its unwavering support and optimism in the candidature of Raila Odinga for the chairmanship. Over the past few months, Odinga has led an intensive and strategic campaign directly engaging over 40 African heads of state and securing broad-based backing across the continent. Government spokesperson Dr. Isaac Mwaura announced that the government of Kenya, under the leadership of President William Ruto, who doubles as the AU champion on institutional reforms, continues to rally support for Odinga's bid.
Serikali ya Jamhuri ya Kenya imesimama kidete kumuunga mkono Mheshimiwa Raila Odinga ambaye aliyekuwa waziri mkuu wa Jamhuri yetu ya Kenya katika azimio lake la kuwa mwenyekiti wa tume ya Umoja wa Afrika. Uchaguzi huu ambao utafanyika kesho tarehe 15 na tarehe 16 mwezi huu wa Februari ni muhimu sana na haijawahi kushuhudiwa malumbano ambayo yametokana na uchaguzi huu. Tayari Mheshimiwa Raila Odinga ameweza kuungwa mkono na Umoja wa Afrika Mashariki akiongozwa na sio mwingine bali na mwenyekiti ambaye ni Mheshimiwa William Ruto, rais wa Jamhuri hii ya Kenya, na ambaye pia ni mkuu wa Umoja wa Afrika katika masuala ya mabadiliko ya kitaasisi. Na pia tunaona kwamba tayari Mheshimiwa Raila Odinga ameweza kukutana na marais zaidi ya 40 na wengi wameweza kutoa kauli kwamba watamuunga mkono wakati wa uchaguzi ambao utafanyika kutoka kesho.
The leaders have expressed their belief that the former Prime Minister Raila Odinga will win the chairmanship of the Commission of the African Union in the elections which are to be held this Saturday in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. A section of leaders led by Machakos Deputy Governor Francis Mwangangi say they wish Raila all the best in the upcoming elections.
Kule wanaenda African Union Commission, haja tumuombea apate. Kwa sababu amekuwa kiongozi wetu kama Azimio. Sisi kama jamii, kama Kalonzo Musyoka, tumesimama na yeye zaidi ya miaka 15. Sasa 2027 sisi tunangojea arudishe mkono. Hata kama atakuwa kule, asisahau hiyo. Tumepigia Raila karibu zaidi ya miaka 15. Hiyo asisahau tafadhali.
Bwana Raila amekuwa ni rafiki yetu na kwa kweli kwa muda mrefu sisi hata kwa hii eneo letu tumemsupport sana. Lakini ningeomba aendelee na tunamuombea apate hiyo kiti anagombania ya AU. Lakini pia asipopata tunamuomba apumzike na akuwe consultant, tukue tukimconsult kwa mambo ya uongozi na mambo mengine ambayo yanahusu nchi yetu.
President William Ruto has urged warring parties in the Sudan conflict to embrace genuine and inclusive dialogue, as sustainable peace cannot be achieved through military means. Thousands have been killed, millions displaced, and humanitarian aid blocked. President Ruto says Kenya, alongside the Intergovernmental Authority on Development, IGAD, remains prepared to support and facilitate efforts towards a negotiated settlement that will end the suffering of the people of Sudan. Ruto made the remarks during a high-level humanitarian conference for the people of Sudan in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, attended by Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed and the United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres, among others.
At the Humanitarian Pledging Conference for Sudan held in Paris in April 2024, Kenya pledged $1 million to support humanitarian efforts in Sudan. I am pleased to reaffirm that Kenya will fulfill this pledge with an additional $1 million to demonstrate our support for the Sudanese people. Finally, we urge all external actors supporting the warring parties to refrain from actions that further endanger the lives and future of the Sudanese people. As members of the African Union and the United Nations, we must uphold the fundamental principles of respect for territorial integrity, national sovereignty, and good neighborliness in our pursuit for lasting peace and stability.
This crisis is not just Sudanese. It is a regional and a global concern, impacting lives, livelihoods, and stability across the Horn of Africa and beyond. Global solidarity is essential to ensure the Sudanese people receive food, clean water, basic health care, including vaccines and medicines, and protection.
The UAE has provided over $400 million to support the Sudanese people in Sudan and neighboring countries who have so generously welcomed Sudanese refugees. Today, we reaffirm our commitment to the people of Sudan by announcing an additional $200 million in humanitarian funding.
The price of fuel in the country will remain unchanged this month after the latest review by the Energy and Petroleum Regulatory Authority, EPRA. In a statement issued on Friday, the authority announced the hold despite a drop in the import costs, which it said was against the inflation costs. In the period under review, the maximum allowed petroleum pump price of super petrol, diesel, and kerosene remain unchanged. Subsequent to the hold in costs, a litre of petrol in the capital of Nairobi will continue to be priced at 179.3, while diesel and kerosene will retail at a maximum of 162 and 145.94 shillings respectively. Kipto further noted that the new prices had been subsidized across the fuel brands to caution Kenyans from the high prices of a particular brand. And that was news that was just released this evening by EPRA. Now let's cross over to the Ministry of Health. Now the ministry has confirmed 3 new Mpox cases, bringing the total number to 41 since the outbreak began in July 2024. State Department for Public Health and Professional Standards Principal Secretary Mary Mudhoni noted that a total of 271 contacts of the 41 cases has been identified. She said 246 of the contacts identified have been monitored for the recommended period of 21 days. 9 tested positive for Mpox, while the 16 are still being monitored.
We have also been able to have risk communication and community engagement efforts that are ongoing to raise awareness about Mpox. However, we must note that there are other threats that have emerged, posing significant risk to public health and safety, including Marburg outbreak that was in Tanzania and Ebola that was suspected in Uganda. These 2 outbreaks remain active, heightened, and we have heightened risk of cross-border transmission into Kenya. And given our proximity and frequent cross-border movement, Kenya remains at high risk of importation, requiring urgent and coordinated action to mitigate the spread of these two diseases. We are not an alien country, and because of trade and travels between the countries that are around us, we are at high alert. And that is why meeting with the multi-agency teams is very, very critical at this time, so that we can heighten our borders. And these diseases are highly infectious, and that is why we have anybody coming into the country has been screened. Over 3 million people have travelers have been screened at the ports of entry, with 419 samples from suspected cases that are undergoing testing. It is important to note that every passenger who is coming into Kenya right now is going through screening. And please let us collaborate with the agencies so that we are able to prevent ourselves from any impending risk that may be coming to this country.
The United Nations is a partner in peace and security diplomacy across the world. Kenya and the United Nations have worked together for decades in peacekeeping missions in various parts of the world, ranging from Liberia to Bosnia-Herzegovina. Now, Kenya is committed to continue engaging in peace assignments as it continues leading the multinational security support mission in Haiti. According to President William Ruto, Kenya and the UN and other partners for the support, thanked other partners for the support they are giving to the country and other troop contributing countries in the effort to stabilize Haiti. President William Ruto made the remarks when he held talks with the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres at the African Union headquarters in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. Ruto briefed him on regional peace and security issues, including the Democratic Republic of Congo, South Sudan, and Somalia.
Thank you very much. Mzuri, habari yako? Hello, how are you? Very good. Yes, salama. Hello, how are you? Cynthia? Yeah, this one comes from my country.
Can we get a picture, please?
For the flag?
Get a picture.
Oh,
I'm sure, please.
Thank you.
The National Council for Persons Living with Disability has called on the government to double its 100 million shillings budget allocation for people with albinism, citing inadequate funds for essential sunscreen and after lotions. Speaking at Naivasha Level 4 Hospital during the handover of a skin cancer screening machine, the council's official, Stephen Wafula, emphasized the need for more funding to prevent skin cancer among the over 10,000 people with albinism in Kenya.
And the after sun and the lip balm. The rest of the money we try to raise awareness and buy protective clothing. But remember, the challenge that we have as persons with albinism is also with the sight, short-sightedness. Yeah? So there's the aspect of the eye care equipment that we need to procure also for persons with albinism.
Under normal circumstances, this is an item that is used for preventive purposes, so that the early lesions that are detected by our doctors, the dermatologists and the clinicians who attend to them, once they are suspicious, then they can be attended to early before they actually become malignant or cancerous. In this sub-county, as it has been mentioned before, we have around 80 cases of people living with disabilities, this disability albinism, and they have also been coming to collect the sunscreen creams from the facility, which is actually also supported by the council.
But to supplement the same, we provide cryogenic equipment, and this financial year we bought 20 cryogenic equipment, including the cylinder and the cryogun. And this equipment, they use the liquid nitrogen, which arrests lesions that can be cancerous early on after a person with albinism has been exposed in the sun. We are treating 3 persons with albinism who have contracted already skin cancer, And it is regrettable because this is something that is preventable. One, by the use of sunscreen lotion, and two, by being screened and being administered, the liquid nitrogen on areas that have been exposed to the sun.
Allow us to take a quick breather at that point. We'll be back shortly with more news makings. Hearing she needed a period of 1 month to write the judgment. ATA is embroiled in a court case over the auctioning of its wheat that was stored by grain bulk handlers and later auctioned for failure of paying storage and custom charges to the Kenya Revenue Authority in 2017. ATA got reprieve when KRA gave them a 30% waiver on their crude custom charges. They also engaged grain bulk to be given time to look for alternative funding to clear storage charges, but went ahead to engage the auctioneers to auction the wheat to get storage. In the case, ATA wants compensation of 730 million shillings from grain bulk for selling their consignment stored at their silos. Nurses employed on contract basis during the COVID-19 period under the universal health care coverage from the wider area of Western Kenya, including Busia, Bungoma, Vihiga and Kakamega County, are continuing their strike, asking the government through the Ministry of Health in the country to employ them on permanent basis, aside from paying them their benefits. The nurses have continued their strike for the second week running, demanding the Ministry of Health employ them on permanent and pensionable terms and pay them their gratuity that the government ordered when employing them 5 years ago. They claim that their justice efforts have hit a rock, with the county and national governments tossing the bill to each other over who exactly is to employ them. Furthermore, they have mentioned working poor conditions.
We have been paid peanuts, no gratuity, yet we are working in a very harsh conditions. We are offering services that we can't even afford. Comrades power! Comrades power! We only have two demands, PNP and gratuity. We don't want more dramas and more promises.
We UHC healthcare workers have been working on contract for 5 years. And currently we have been seeing advert of healthy positions, being our young brothers being recruited, who finished school the other day, and yet we have been there for 5 years with a lot of experience. Why can't they be human at least for once and consider absorbing the UHC staff at least for permanent and pensionable? Comrades power! Comrades power! Let us tell this Ministry of Health that if they are not going to absorb us, we are not going to retire. We are not going to go home. We are going to continue with the strike.
The governors are saying that they can't employ us because we belong to the national government. So why are they disowning us and yet we are delivering services at the county level? We are delivering services at the grassroots level. So why are they disowning us? Because whenever we hold demonstrations, the governors are saying that absorption of the UXC staffs is a responsibility of the national government. So we are calling upon the president when he talks about the universal health coverage. Why are you just talking about universal health coverage? Focusing on only on CHPs. Why are you forgetting this? Why are you forgetting the nurses? Why are you forgetting the clinical officers who are working at the health centers and dispensaries? So we are calling upon the president. We are calling upon the CS and the PS to look into this matter and make sure they are absorbing UXC staffs immediately.
As the world marks this year's Valentine's Day, youths, especially those in adolescence, have been urged to exercise caution while celebrating the season of love. Stakeholders from the health and social services sectors have emphasized the importance of self-care and making informed choices during the celebrations. In Laikipia, the health CEC, Dr. Albert Taiti and Lakina Munyaka, reminded young people that true love begins with valuing oneself and prioritizing one's self-well-being.
Today we decided that We join other Kenyans in celebrating this day by sharing flowers just to express the love and care the National Police Service have for our people. We are delighted that today, this morning, here in Nairobi, we were able to interact with the members of the public. That's to make sure that they also see us on the other, the other end, the other way of life that we also have a feeling for them.
And to say, unlike those old days when you could see a police officer, people run away. You ask your colleague, why are you running? Then they say, police. You join the running. But at the end of the day, that was police brutality. Today, they are our brothers, our sisters, our friends, our husbands, our wives, our daughters. So ours is just to extend to the members of the public that we pray for you guys. Always remember and care for your neighbor as you could care for yourself, and we live in harmony.
The season of love indeed. Now I've got two special Valentine messages to deliver tonight on behalf of the crew in studio. One from Michael Dipo, who'd love to wish his mother, Florence Vicky Aywa, a happy Valentine's Day. And Madam Florence, your son says he loves you very much. Now the second wish I'd love to deliver tonight is from our TX controller, that is David Njue, who'd love to wish his girlfriend, Mary Mugwe, a happy Valentine's Day. And David says he loves you very much. That counts for something. And of course, from EBN TV to all of you that are watching at home tonight, happy Valentine's Day to you as well. Even if you've not received a flower today, just remember that you're here for a reason, okay? And you mean something to somebody, always. Whether it's your mother, your father, your siblings, your husband, your wife, you mean something to somebody, so that counts as well for something. All right, we wrap it up at that point tonight. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Cynthia Nanjala. I have been in studio with Laura Omondi on the sign language interpretation. Good night. Have a wonderful weekend ahead.